So I don't care what your age is, which part of India you're from, what language you speak, what gender you are. It doesn't matter if you're an 8-year-old boy or an 80-year-old woman. If you have been part of the Indian ecosystem for the last 5 years, you could not have missed one of the most historic, epic corporate battles in the history of the world in our Indian telecom sector. Of course, I'm talking about the entry of Jio. So, in today's video, I'm going to give you all an entire understanding of how is it that we've reached where we are today with the Indian telecom sector, primarily revolving around Jio's entrance and disruption into the world. Today, we have three primary telecom providers with us, leading with Jio, second is Airtel, and third is the Vodafone and Idea merged entity. To give you all an understanding of where we are today, we first need to journey back to 2005. Now, what happened in 2005? Before the Jio had entered, the market had many more telecom players, right? Obviously, Airtel, Vodafone were always there. Idea was there. There was some called there were the Tata's. Tata was there. SL was there. In 2005, there was the thought of what could have been Jio back then by Reliance, called Reliance Communication. Now, what had happened is in 2002, Dhirubhai Ambani had passed away. When he passed away, his two sons, Mukesh and Anil Ambani, again something which is really considered obviously sad but of epic proportion, is the clash between the two brothers, Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani. They wanted to split the assets that Dhirubhai Ambani had left them. And the way it was planned was, their mother, Kokila Bain, had brokered this deal, right? Mukesh Ambani got Reliance Industries, the gas and oil, and all the sort of old economies, as they call it, those kind of companies, okay? Whereas Anil Ambani got Reliance Communication and all the, they call it the new age economies, these kind of companies. Now, Reliance Communication, RCom, became one of those other players that was taken by Anil Ambani. Just for everybody to know, Reliance Communication is supposed to have been Mukesh Ambani's thought child. He wanted to do what he's done with Jio back in 2005, okay? But the company went to Anil Ambani. Anil Ambani unfortunately could not perform the way Mukesh has done today. Mukesh Ambani has done today. What Anil Ambani did was, for example, back then, right, he bet on something known as CDMA technologies, which was better for 2G and 3G, whereas Hutch and Airtel, they focused on something known as GSM technology, which was 4G, 5G, more future thinking. So these kind of mistakes Anil Ambani made, and sort of Reliance Communication fell. Also, the problem was that when Kokila Bain brokered the deal between Mukesh and Anil Ambani, there was a 10-year non-compete agreement, which meant Mukesh Ambani could not enter Anil Ambani's sectors and vice versa. Which means from 2005, 10 years ke liye, Mukesh Ambani could not enter the telecom sector. So this is what happened in 2005. Okay, in 2007, okay. For a lot of y'all who don't know, Jio was actually established in 2007. It did not launch, but the work started in 2007. So what is happening today with Jio was actually been thought of before, over 10 years ago, right? 2005 onwards, this plan has been going on. And then comes 2015. No matter whether you had Vodafone, whether you had Airtel, whether you had Airtel, whether you had Tata, whether you had Reliance Communication, all were standing, all were competing, and literally Jio sort of entered the market like you know how everyone's like sort of on the ground fighting, and this guy comes in the air, okay, and he lands with Reliance Jio. As soon as the 10-year period got complete, enter Jio, and he blew not just the Indian market away, but everybody in the world who was watching was shocked at what was happening. Jio entered into 2015, right? There was a soft launch in 2015, and 2016 it became available to public, and he broke the market. He slashed the prices to a degree which we had never seen before, and he basically had the vision that I want to give Indians access to extremely cheap data. That is when he thought of saying that data is the new oil, which has now become extremely popular as a quote. But back then when he said it, right, everyone thought, yeah, it's a great dialogue and it's being said by a powerful, wealthy man, so maybe it's true. But that man had it in his head. His company was already implementing something on those lines. So in 2015 and late 16, basically, Jio became public and the war in our telecom sector started. Okay. Now, once this happened, Jio slashed the prices down to such an extent where anybody, no matter what provider you were with, sort of you just went to Jio like a magnet, because the pricing, the amount of services they were giving were unbelievably cheap, right? And being a price sensitive market like India, everybody went to the cheaper player. When this happened, Vodafone, Airtel, Idea, everyone suddenly faced such a player who was taking customers away from them non-stop, and they really had to stop and start figuring out how to reduce the prices of their own tariffs, it's called, right? The price which we used to pay for subscribing to Airtel or Vodafone or all these ideas. So for everybody to get a quick idea, right, in 2016, just before Jio launched, right, understand this, okay, Airtel was leading India with 24 crore subscribers. Second was Vodafone with 19, and third was Idea with 17 crore subscribers, and the rest were there below that. So Airtel with 24, Vodafone with 19, and Idea with 17. And if Vodafone and Idea combine their subscriber base, 19 plus 17, that's 36 crores. Okay, you will understand why this is important. So Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, and then Jio had 0 subscribers. It had not launched, you can say technically, to the public by 2016 first half. Fast forward 2020, Airtel, which was 24 crores, has actually increased its subscriber base to 33 crores. That's good for them, right? Vodafone and Idea, if you had combined, was 36 in 2016. Now it's actually fallen down to 33 crores. And Jio, which was at 0 in 2016, has broken all records in the world to gain the fastest company to gain such amount of subscribers. Today it stands at almost 40 crore subscribers. It went from 0 to almost 40 crores in a matter of 3 to 4 years. Never heard of before. Companies across London, not only India, everyone was so surprised that this is happening. In fact, it's not only India's largest provider, it's the third largest provider in the world. In a matter of 3 to 4 years, it doesn't happen that easily, right? So that's the sort of status of, so where Airtel has grown, Vodafone plus Idea have dropped, Jio went from nothing to the biggest. Vodafone and Idea said, okay, the only way to survive is if we figure out how to combine, so we have a chance against Jio. In fact, in 2018, when they merged, right, they actually were the largest provider with subscriber base at that point of time. It then finally dropped. But at that point of time, they even beat Airtel, which was actually leading in the market. When Vodafone and Idea merged, in India, Idea shares were being traded. Okay, Vodafone is a UK company whose subsidiary was Vodafone India. When they merged, all the shareholders of Idea, for example, if I had 10 Idea shares, I got a 1-to-1 swap of the merged company. So my 10 shares of Idea I gave up, and I got 10 shares of the merged Vodafone plus Idea company. Unfortunately, the price of Vodafone and Idea's shares have been dropping non-stop, been tumbling. Right? Idea back in 2016 was at 120 rupees. Today, the Idea Vodafone merged company is at 12 rupees. It literally went from 120 to 90% down to 12 rupees, right? It's obviously for a couple of reasons. Number one, trying to compete with Jio non-stop, bleeding money, trying to keep the prices equal to Jio so that more subscribers don't leave Vodafone Idea, while trying to also cut down the cost, which they've found very difficult. So think about, right, revenue went down because of Jio, but the cost, which was earlier what was there, it's very difficult to bring the cost down, right? So the margins have completely shrunk. In fact, they're making losses now, right? Second, we have a department of telecommunication with us. Okay, they are telling Vodafone and Airtel and all the other companies to pay them certain amounts over the last few years which they have not paid, which essentially was a percentage of all the revenue that Vodafone had besides the actual telecom revenue, which means Vodafone had all these towers across India. They would lease their towers to other companies. When they lease, they get lease rent, they get rent income for these towers. That income, they have to pay part of it to the telecom department. Same way, when they sell any asset, okay, they would make a profit on that. A percentage of it they had to pay the Department of Telecommunication. Over the last so many years, 15, 20 years, Vodafone, Airtel, none of them have paid, right? And now the department is saying you have to pay. This percentage you have to pay is so big, okay, for these companies that it's going into the 30, 40, 50,000 crores. So Vodafone is having a very difficult time. Suddenly, not only is it having a lot of trouble with Jio and bleeding money, now suddenly they have to pay what seems like 40, 50,000 crores extra because of something known as retrospective payment. Over the last so many years, collective payment which they had not made, now they all have to make. They have to make all of a sudden. This is causing an extreme strain on Vodafone and its parent company, UK company, Vodafone, the headquarters, the parent company, has said that if Vodafone pays this amount, this parent company will not fund Vodafone anymore. Vodafone would have to declare bankruptcy in India. So if that happens, we might just stay with Jio and Airtel. So that's how unfortunate, even after merging, becoming the biggest company in the sector, they've fallen so drastically and might have to declare bankruptcy. This is the lesson that most businessmen have to learn, that no matter how big you think you are, no matter how long you've stayed in the industry, what kind of an incumbent you've been, there is always the chance that somebody bigger, stronger will come around and probably not only disrupt, not only destabilize, but completely destroy you. As a quick note, there's another video which is something on similar lines where Zomato and Swiggy, after a lot of wars, were standing tall and strong, thinking that finally, okay, they're going to be able to manage and become a great company. And in comes Amazon into India for food delivery. So it's just another example like this where Vodafone and Airtel thought they were really doing well before, and then comes Jio to disrupt such an industry. For you guys to just understand a few facts about Jio, when Jio came in 2015, they invested 1,50,000 crore rupees into laying the infrastructure for Jio. Many of you must have heard that Jio is actually capable not only of 4G and 5G, but even 6G and beyond kind of technologies. That's the amount he's invested. He's thought such long-term numbers, thinking that, okay, fine, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it for the long run. I'm going to change entire India, right? Today, the valuation of Jio is $65 billion. That basically means it is worth 4.9 lakh crore rupees today. Jio. Second is Airtel, is almost half of the value that Jio is. Airtel is 2.8 lakh crores. And unfortunately for Vodafone Idea, they are at 12,000 crores. Of course, 12,000 crores is an unbelievable big number, but when you look at where they were and what number one is for them, right? Number one is at 4.9, almost 5 lakh crores. And number three is 12,000 crores. That is the difference in their values today. If Jio, so by the way, if you all know, Jio is a subsidiary, but it's a private company as of right now. If Jio became a public company, it would be the fourth largest public company in India. The only companies ahead would be its own parent, Reliance Industry. There would be TCS and there would be HDFC Bank, the HDFC Group. And fourth would be Reliance. It would already have beaten Airtel and Vodafone and Idea and all the other players in the market in the span of 3 to 4 years. That is how massive Jio has become. That is how and Jio's plan, think about it guys, Mukesh Ambani's plan was started in 2005, launched Jio in 2007, even though the 10-year non-compete clause was there, came in 2015, in 2020, most of you all should know, again, if you guys were not living in that cave, most of you all should know that over the last 2 months, there have been like only inspiring, motivational, good business news in India has been last 2 months. 8 times Mukesh Ambani has raised money for Reliance through Jio when it got money from Facebook, right? Facebook spent $5.7 billion. That's 43,000 crores. See guys, I'm talking about 43,000. Now we might be talking about 43,000 rupees as a big amount. He's talking about 43,000 crores, right? Facebook invested in Jio for a 9.99% stake in Jio, right? So Facebook paid them 43,000 crores. Jio gave them 9.99 stake of Jio. Guys, this is the largest investment by a technology company for a minority stake in the world. In the world, right? It is the largest technology FDI in India ever in history, right? Of course, I don't know if you all would have heard about Silver Lake and these other partners which have now invested in Jio. But when he's non-stop taking money, right, from these kind of companies, he has a plan. He's, like we've always learned, he's a long-term player. The plan is not just to make a big telecom company, which he's already made. He's going to make Jio a complete tech company, and he's going to evolve India into a digital company. I mean, a digital economy. Okay, and this is entirely going to be possible because of the kind of technology, the kind of investment, the kind of people he's bringing in, the way he's competing with the other incumbents in the market, and his plan is to change the entire face of India through Jio. And if this happens, unless and until Airtel or Vodafone Idea are innovative and figure out ways to compete with Jio, they would not be able to match. They might not be able to survive. Because of Jio, since Jio has entered, because everyone has been forced to reduce the price, so many more Indians have now have access to phones, to SIM cards, to data. Anywhere in the world, right? India has the cheapest data available price. Data is available at the cheapest price in India, right? It went from 155th to number 1 in data usage per smartphone in India. So guys, I really hope you all got an in-depth understanding of our telecom sector, what happened from the inception of Jio till today, what is the situation with the Vodafone Idea merger, and what are the possibilities that we might be facing in the future. Right. So just to share with you all, right, what do you guys think can happen? Right. Obviously, there's a chance Vodafone Idea might go bankrupt and we'll be only left with Jio and Airtel. There's a chance that Vodafone will not go bankrupt because the government doesn't want only two players to be ruling the market, commonly known as an oligopoly, which becomes very difficult for customers to gain more benefits, because if two players are handling the market, they might land up dictating terms which are for their benefit, and customers might be forced to accept because they have nowhere else to go. We honestly are, it's one of those kind of situations which we have not seen happen in the world very often, and it'll be really interesting to see how it's played out, with Jio's way of transforming India digital to a digital economy, right? Airtel is not run by just players who will give up, right? It's being led by an amazing team of people who would also know that they'll be out of business if they don't innovate, don't compete with Jio quickly, and they're doing whatever they can. They've actually increased their customer base. They are not like one of those players which have really sort of accepted defeat. They're fighting well with Jio. Just now it's time. We've got to wait and see how these players play out. And if you all would like to know about, let's say, more about Jio and the last 2 months of their investments and what is happening, the Facebook Jio deal and anything else, please let us know. We'd be happy to make an entire case study for that.